Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Light in Education, where we learn, inspire, guide, help, and teach. Today, I wanted to talk about a loss to this world. Earlier this month, this world lost a legend, and I'm talking about Toni Morrison. I am an English language arts teacher by trade, but just a lover of literature by heart. And so when I heard that Miss Morrison had passed, it really caused me to think. It caused me to reflect. Now, of course, she lived a very long life and she lived a fruitful life, so much so that she left a legacy. Not only that, but she actually posed a question during one of her interviews that I thought was relative, very relative to us as educators. So during a 2000 interview about her award-winning book, The Bluest Eye, Ms. Morrison posed a question. And that question was, when a kid walks into a room, your child or anybody's child, does your face light up? That is a very poignant question for us to think about. So whenever students, we call them students, but they're children no matter how old they are, whenever they walk into our space or whenever they walk into our classroom, do our eyes light up when we see them? And I know school is just starting for quite a few of us, and already we are feeling the immense pressure and responsibility to connect with our students so that we can give them a quality learning experience. Just the mere thought of our quote-unquote educator to-do list tires us. We're just exhausted thinking about all that we are charged with doing. However, I think we really just need to remember the humanistic component or the humanistic aspect of what we do as educators. Sure, making sure that students are safe, preparing them for the tests that they're going to face. Those things are very important in the world of education. However, nothing, and I have to stress, nothing takes the place of compassion and validation that is given from an educator to a child. I think that's something that we've lost along the way, but nothing takes the place of that. Ms. Morrison reminds us of that when she asks us that question. I happen to work with new teachers, so when new teachers in particular start to get overwhelmed and they ask me, where do I start? A lot of times I'll say, try to find at least 2 or 3 students and look in the eyes of those students, and that will give you an indication of where to start. But one of the things that I should probably add to that commentary, I should add to that advice, is that while we are looking into their eyes, they're searching ours. They're searching our eyes to fill us out or to read us, if you will. And the question that Ms. Morrison poses reminds us that whatever it is that they see, it needs to be a light. It needs to shine bright. Now, some people might ask, well, what does a light in the educator's eyes look like? Well, you know what? That will differ for each child, and it's actually hard to describe. I could give you a long list of adjectives, but that might not be accurate, and it might not be what that student needs to see in your eyes for him or her. However, there are two things that I wanted to just briefly talk about that they should see no matter what. The first thing that students should see is your eagerness to see them. And not to see them physically, but they should see your eagerness to truly know them as individuals. One of the things that I think we have really gotten away from in education, that's, I think that the accountability piece has really it's really hindered the human connection from one person to the next. We're all about getting it done, and we're all about making sure that students achieve, and we're all about the numbers. And there's a place for the numbers part, but again, just that the value of human connection is priceless. It has been in the past, it is now, and it always will be. That's why we're here. We're here to connect with each other and to really grow from interacting with each other. As students are searching our eyes, they should see our eagerness to really see them, and not see them show up and to sit down in their seats, but to really understand who they are, or who each of them is as a person. Granted, sometimes you might have to navigate the attitudes, and you might have to just kind of go past their disinterest or their rude or cross talk or comments. But if you have the willingness to navigate those things and to go around them and to bypass them and to just persevere, underneath all of that is buried a person, it's buried an individual. And if we continue to just be patient, and just to continue to do more than just show up every day, but give them that attention that they need within the classroom, that is evidence of light in our eyes. Secondly is understanding them. So acknowledging that, some of them might have situations that could possibly stand in their way. Knowing that, but also remaining steadfast as that educator who's going to give all of them a quality learning experience. If we were to just sit down and have a casual conversation and we were truthful, we would really talk about how quite a few of our students, they're dealing with things that we as adults can't even fathom. We couldn't even imagine some of the situations or some of the decisions that our students have to make on a daily basis just to live. In fact, they are not only expected to live during those situations, but they're expected to thrive in those situations. And then they're expected to come to school and abide by rules and to learn, just like everything is a-okay. So it's important that we understand where they are and sometimes empathize with their situations. However, it's just as important that we realize just because they're going through that situation, it does not take away from who they are or who they have the potential to be. That's the reason why we have to continue to have high expectations for them. And that educator who really sees each student for who he or she is will not only have high expectations for them, but that educator will walk alongside them as they're reaching and they're striving to not only meet but exceed those expectations. So I said all of this, and all of this came from Toni Morrison's very simple little quote, but it also gives way for us to ask another question, and it's a lot of work. It sounds great coming from me or any other person who can talk about it, but there's a lot of work in education. And no matter how tedious the work is, presence or absence of light in our eyes speaks volumes. And it's more than just having a light in our eyes and looking like we're happy to see them, but it's the action that follow. We must do more than look like we care. We must show all of our students that we care. And that care is shown through every decision and action that we make. So to say educating children takes a lot, it's an understatement. But we must ask ourselves every single day, am I willing to exercise the patience and perseverance to ignite the potential of my students? Or if every single one of us as educators answer yes to that question, then more than likely our eyes do light up when our students walk into our presence. Thank you so much for listening today. And if you are interested in this topic, please visit my website, lightedu.org, and I will leave the link in the description box.